Imagine standing in the middle of Europe many hundreds of years ago. Around you, there are thick forests, cold rivers, and small villages hidden between mountains. Different tribes live across the land, speaking different languages and fighting many small wars. Nobody knows that one day this land will become one of the most powerful countries in the world. This land is Germany, and its history is filled with kings, battles, inventions, destruction, and rebirth. Long before modern Germany existed, the area was home to Germanic tribes. These tribes lived simple but difficult lives. They hunted animals, farmed the land, and protected their families from enemies. Life was dangerous, and survival was never easy. Still, the people were strong, proud, and deeply connected to their land. At that time, the great Roman Empire was growing across Europe. The Romans built roads, cities, and powerful armies. They wanted to control more land, and soon they looked toward the forests of Germania, the ancient name for Germany. Roman soldiers marched into the region, believing victory would be easy. But something unexpected happened. The Germanic tribes fought back fiercely. One famous battle changed history forever. In the year 9 AD, a Germanic leader named Arminius led an attack against Roman forces in the Teutoburg forest. The Romans were trapped in the cold rain and thick trees. Thousands of Roman soldiers died, and after that defeat, Rome stopped trying to fully conquer Germania. This moment became an important symbol for the German people. It showed that even the strongest empire could be defeated by people fighting for their homeland. As centuries passed, the tribes slowly changed. Christianity spread through the region, and kings began building larger kingdoms. One of the most important rulers was Charlemagne, also known as Charles the Great. In the early Middle Ages, he created a huge empire across Europe, including much of modern Germany. Charlemagne wanted education, religion, and law to grow stronger. Monasteries and churches appeared across the land. Cities slowly became larger, and trade started connecting people from different places. Germany was no longer only forests and tribes. A new society was being born. However, after Charlemagne died, his empire broke apart. Different rulers fought for power, and Germany became divided into many small states and kingdoms. Some areas were ruled by princes, some by bishops, and others by powerful noble families. The land was connected by culture and language, but politically it remained deeply divided for hundreds of years. This division created both problems and opportunities. On one side, Germany was often weak because it lacked one strong government. On the other side, the many cities became centers of trade, art, and learning. Cities like Hamburg, Cologne, and Nuremberg grew rich through business and craftsmanship. German merchants traveled across Europe, selling goods and building connections. Then, during the 15th century, history was about to change again. A German inventor named Johannes Gutenberg created one of the most important inventions in human history: the printing press. Before this invention, books had to be copied by hand, a slow and expensive process. Very few people owned books, and knowledge spread slowly. Gutenberg's printing press changed everything. Books could now be printed quickly and cheaply. Ideas traveled faster than ever before. Ordinary people could finally read information for themselves. Education grew rapidly, and Europe entered a new age of learning. Soon another major change arrived. A German monk named Martin Luther became angry with corruption inside the Catholic Church. In 1517, he wrote his famous 95 Theses, criticizing church practices and calling for reform. Thanks to the printing press, his ideas spread across Europe within weeks. People everywhere began debating religion, power, and freedom. Some supported Luther, while others strongly opposed him. Europe entered a period of religious conflict and violence. Germany suffered terribly during the 30 Years' War from 1618 to 1648. Armies crossed the land, villages burned, and millions of people died from war, hunger, and disease. Entire regions were destroyed. For many Germans, life became filled with fear and loss. When the war finally ended, Germany remained divided and weakened. Yet slowly, the people rebuilt their towns and cities once again. During the 18th and 19th centuries, German culture began shining across Europe. German writers, composers, philosophers, and scientists became famous around the world. Men like Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Ludwig van Beethoven, and Albert Einstein would later help shape literature, music, and science forever. At the same time, a new idea was growing stronger inside the German states: unity. Many Germans dreamed of becoming one nation instead of many small kingdoms. They shared language, traditions, and culture, but political division continued to separate them. One man would soon change this situation completely. His name was Otto von Bismarck. Bismarck was the leader of Prussia, one of the strongest German states. He believed Germany could only unite through strength, careful politics, and sometimes war. Step by step, he fought conflicts against neighboring countries and brought more German states together. Then, in 1871, after victory in the Franco-Prussian War, Germany finally became a united empire. For the first time, Germany stood as one nation. People celebrated across the country. Factories grew quickly, railways connected cities, and industries expanded at an incredible speed. Germany became one of the most powerful industrial nations in the world. Science, engineering, and manufacturing pushed the country forward. However, power also brought competition and tension. European countries began competing for colonies, military strength, and influence. Alliances formed between nations, and distrust slowly increased. The situation became more dangerous every year. Then, in 1914, one event pushed Europe into disaster. World War I began. Germany entered the war believing it would end quickly, but the conflict became a nightmare. Soldiers fought in muddy trenches for years. Millions died across Europe. Families lost fathers, sons, and brothers. Hunger and suffering spread through Germany as the war continued. Finally, in 1918, Germany lost the war. The German Empire collapsed, and the Kaiser stepped down from power. Many Germans felt shocked, angry, and humiliated. The Treaty of Versailles forced Germany to accept blame for the war and pay huge penalties. The economy struggled badly, and many people lost hope for the future. At that moment, Germany entered one of the darkest periods in its history. During the 1920s and early 1930s, economic crisis hit the country hard. Inflation became so extreme that money lost its value. Some people carried bags full of cash just to buy bread. Unemployment rose sharply, and many families suffered terribly. In this atmosphere of fear and anger, a man named Adolf Hitler rose to power. Hitler promised strength, pride, and recovery. Many desperate people believed him. But his leadership soon became violent and dangerous. He created a dictatorship, destroyed political freedom, and spread hateful ideas against Jewish people and other groups. Germany changed rapidly under Nazi rule. Fear controlled society. People who disagreed with the government could disappear overnight. At the same time, Hitler rebuilt the military and prepared for war. Then, in 1939, Germany invaded Poland. World War II had begun. The war spread across Europe and eventually across the world. At first, Germany achieved fast military victories. But soon, the conflict became larger and more destructive than anyone imagined. Cities were bombed, millions of soldiers died, and innocent civilians suffered everywhere. During this terrible period, the Holocaust took place. The Nazi government murdered around 6 million Jewish people, along with millions of others, including Roma people, disabled individuals, political prisoners, and many innocent civilians. It remains one of the darkest crimes in human history. As the war continued, Germany itself faced destruction. Bombs destroyed cities like Berlin, Dresden, and Hamburg. Families hid in shelters while buildings collapsed around them. Hunger, fear, and death became part of daily life. Finally, in 1945, Germany surrendered. The war ended, but the country lay in ruins. Millions were dead, cities were destroyed, families were separated. Germany's name had become connected to horror and destruction across the world. Many people wondered if Germany could ever recover. However, history was about to change once again. After the war, Germany was divided into two separate countries. West Germany became connected to democratic Western Europe, while East Germany came under Soviet communist control. The city of Berlin itself was divided by a wall. The Berlin Wall became one of the most powerful symbols of the Cold War. Families were separated overnight. Some people could see relatives living only a short distance away, but they could not cross the border. Guards watched the wall carefully, and escaping from East Germany became extremely dangerous. Still, life slowly improved in West Germany. Factories reopened, businesses grew, and the economy recovered surprisingly fast. This period became known as the German economic miracle. German cars, machines, and technology became respected around the world. Meanwhile, life in East Germany remained much more controlled. The government watched citizens closely, and freedom was limited. Many people dreamed of change. Then, in 1989, something incredible happened. Peaceful protests spread across East Germany. More and more people demanded freedom. The communist government began losing control. Finally, on November 9, 1989, the Berlin Wall opened. People climbed onto the wall, crying, laughing, and celebrating together. Families reunited after decades of separation. Around the world, millions watched the emotional scenes on television. At that moment, everything changed. Soon after, East and West Germany officially reunited in 1990. Germany became one country again after decades of division. Since reunification, Germany has continued rebuilding and moving forward. Today, it is known for strong industries, advanced technology, education, and international cooperation. German companies build famous cars, machines, and products used around the world. Its cities combine modern life with deep historical memory, but Germany also carries the heavy lessons of its past. The country openly teaches younger generations about World War II and the Holocaust. Memorials, museums, and education programs remind people of the dangers of hatred, dictatorship, and blind nationalism. Germany understands that remembering history is necessary to protect the future. Today, millions of tourists visit Germany each year. They walk through medieval towns, modern cities, old castles, and historical landmarks. They see both beauty and painful memories standing side by side. Germany's story is not simply about war or power. It is also a story of rebuilding after destruction, learning from terrible mistakes, and finding hope after suffering. From ancient tribes fighting Roman armies, to divided kingdoms, to world wars, to reunification, Germany has experienced some of the highest and lowest moments in human history. And perhaps that is why its history feels so powerful, because Germany shows us how a nation can fall deeply into darkness, yet still work toward rebuilding peace, responsibility, and unity again. This is the long and emotional story of Germany, a land that changed Europe many times, and a country that continues trying to shape a better future from the lessons of its past.